afternoon.
And good evening, and welcome to the Mr. and Mrs. in Business podcast. I'm Chris,
I'm Helen.
and what do we talk about on this show?
We talk about business,
Marriage,
life,
all the good, the bad, the ugly, all that nonsense.
and all the in between.
So, this week, well, no, actually, you should introduce.
Yeah, this week we've got somebody very special. She has been talked about on a few of our podcasts in the past.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we've known her a couple of years, and we think she's fantastic.
We do.
So we would like to introduce to you today Marisa from Safety Forward. And she is a real expert in her field, and she is a fantastic person. So let's
Why don't you
pass
let
on
her
to
introduce
Marisa.
herself?
Wow, what a big up there. I'm not even sure if I actually deserve any of that, but thank you very much both for inviting me onto the podcast.
Very welcome.
And I was really looking forward to today until I realised that it actually gets put on YouTube as well.
Oh.
I have always
Oh.
been told I've got a face for radio, so
Oh,
it's a bit
don't-
challenging.
Don't worry.
No, if you have, we have.
We've only got two viewers anyway, haven't we? Your
Yeah, my
brother,
parents
yeah,
and my
so-
brother and my sister-in-law.
fine.
So don't
That's fine.
worry.
So we're talking today health and safety, we're talking people, and we're talking behaviours, accents,
Hmm.
because we've both got an accent, and you've got an accent as well.
Yes.
So different. And we're also going to talk about what it's like being a business owner as well, aren't we?
Mm,
Yeah. So
yeah.
have you got the first question?
I have. So obviously we've known you for all your expertise in health and safety, and working with teams and building fantastic teams. And you run the business yourself. So obviously we've got each other to bounce off, and we are chalk and cheese. We're totally different, yet somehow that works for us. So how do you find it, like being like the business owner, and what sort of networks and support do you find yourself getting to work with that?
Okay, so I would say I've got the easy end of the stick compared with you guys, because I do actually work with a lot of family businesses or businesses where there's more than one partner. And I actually think that is more challenging than being a solo business owner.
Okay.
And the reason for that is particularly around health and safety is you can have two very different views on what health and safety means. So
Mm.
you'll have a partner in a business that thinks we don't want to spend money on this, and all we hear is complaints about backache. And then you'll have another side of the business, so that the partner who might think, yeah, this is a really important aspect of
Mhm.
running a business, about looking after your people. So I think as a single business owner, I prefer that. I know
Yeah.
you guys do a great job of, working in your business. You've created something very unique. But for me, it will only ever be me at the top. And if that's, it might feel quite lonely sometimes, but
Yeah.
there's things that help it to be not such a lonely place.
Yeah.
And I think those things are a brilliant team. So I've got two senior managers that absolutely run the show far more fantastically than I do. They're really honest, they're really good characters, and they mentor the team brilliantly. So I think having a really good team is so key.
Yeah.
I think your network is really important. So me and Helen will quite often pick up the phone to each other, won't we, Helen?
Yeah.
And sometimes there's tears,
Yeah.
sometimes there's swearing and shouting. But it's a really good that we're kind of in this bubble together, and we all help and support each other. And I think the last probably top tip I'd give about overcoming loneliness is to have a really good mentor.
Yes.
And me and yourselves
Mhm.
have a really
Yeah.
good mentor. We have the same guy that
Mhm.
looks
Yeah.
after us,
Yeah.
and he's that person I can pick the phone up and say,
Yeah.
I've got this problem,
Yeah.
and he kind of breaks it down for me and
Mm.
starts to unpick everything. So
Yeah.
I think those three key things
Yeah.
are what helps you just not feel so lonely
Right.
in the world.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. It's interesting to see it from that point of view, really, isn't it?
Yeah, because I I kind of agree with you in some ways. I think it probably is easier on your own
Mhm.
because you don't have
Mm,
that challenge. Because when we first started,
it wasn't.
we were constantly arguing,
Yeah.
like really
A lot of
bad.
storming out.
A lot of
A lot of
storming out. And at that time, when we first started, it was me, you, and my dad. And it was really awkward for him. Not for us, we didn't care.
Yeah.
But for him, it was really awkward. Luckily, he took it quite well. But well, we realised the reason we were arguing so much because we were crossing over.
Mm.
So, like, I was trying to teach Helen how to suck eggs with sales. She was trying to teach me to suck eggs with the bits that I was doing, and there was this constant in agreement almost. And then once we said, "Hold on, right, you are responsible for this part of the business. I won't get involved, and me this." It's worked a lot better ever since. But I
Mm.
think if we hadn't have done that, we'd have been in trouble today, I
Yeah,
reckon,
but
because it was
it did take a long time to get it right, didn't it?
yeah,
So,
yeah, it did.
I think that's key to, as a couple, there are sometimes no boundaries, everything becomes blurred. And I think you almost have to have your own formal job
Mm,
descriptions.
yeah.
And it's not just, partners that work together. It's actually people, business partners. So where you got
Mm.
two or three directors
mhm,
running a business, when we work with those businesses, it can be really challenging because one will want to spend money on one thing, expectations of where the business is going.
mm,
Um, you know, any money decisions can become really awkward.
mm,
And I think if it's the one common advice that my network has given me, it's Maz, stay on your own.
yeah,
So it's kind of always rang in
Mm.
my head when I've had
So,
opportunities for people to come to me and say, I want to buy into the business or I want to be part of it.
mm,
I'm like, no,
nah,
it works for me this way.
yeah, yeah.
good.
So you're obviously a specialist in health and
Hmm.
safety, and like, give us a because I took over the intro of you a bit at the start, didn't I? So if
You might as well have not even been here at the start, to be honest. You just walked in, nobody would have known.
I know,
Exactly.
I think you should reintroduce yourself and your business and like what you would explain that you
Okay.
guys are.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Marisa Firkins and I have a business called Safety Forward, and we're a health and safety consultancy based in Staffordshire. And we do work all over the UK and beyond, though. Um, our specialist areas are probably construction, manufacturing, engineering. We work with local authorities, charities, retail, you name it. We kind of do it, but there's just some areas that we don't look at. So we've got everything from high risk industry down to some quite office based
Mm,
environments. So a wide range of businesses we work with. We've got a team of 9 professionals. I started the business 11 years ago.
wow.
I'd worked in law enforcement for 22 years, which is an awful long time. And yeah, I think you guys know my history of, I decided to set up a business, go solo, and the rest is history.
Mm. So, sorry, I'm really, I'm really interested. I don't think I've ever asked you this actually, even off air, but how did being a police or working in the police enforcement, I'm not sure what you did in the police, but
Okay.
how does that
Mhm.
impact your role today, or does it at all? Are there things that come out that you're like,
Yeah,
I shouldn't do that, or that actually I should do more of, or
absolutely. I think there's two key things to pull out there. Um, for me, it's always been about looking after people. So my role as an investigator and
mm,
an intelligence officer before that was obviously to protect the public. And it's quite a natural transition that I took into health and safety because it is, as I say, still looking after the people. So making sure that people are protected.
mm,
And that's
Yeah,
the synergy between the two.
yeah.
And a lot of people don't realise this. And I think the second point to probably reflect on is that I worked in law enforcement for quite a long time. In 2003, I worked in an organisation that had a really good culture, had the best bosses. We did really impactful work. And 3 years later, I was kind of thrown into a new agency
mm,
formed by a brand new government. And all hell broke loose, and I found myself working in environments that was, there was lots of bullying. It was a very dark time for me
Mm.
because I'd lost my supportive bosses. My colleagues were all working somewhere else, and I found myself in a very toxic environment. And I think by the time that I was about to leave, I'd done a few years in health and safety for the organisation, whereby I went back to having great bosses, having commendations for the work that I'd done. And at that point, kind of, I was just ready to be in charge of my own destiny. So, yeah, I decided to leave and, yeah, set up my own business.
Mm. I never look back.
Never look back.
No,
No,
Yeah.
no. So I always
fantastic.
knew from those the good and the bad things that happened,
Mm.
what that I wanted to create something good.
Mm. Amazing. Yeah. Sorry.
So now from that, like obviously being a specialist within that for a good few years now, what would you say your sort of top three tips would be for a small to medium business to look out for and to make sure is looked after for their health and safety? Like what do you
Okay, so top three. So probably the first thing I would advise a say small or medium sized business is to not overcomplicate health and safety. People often are overwhelmed with regulations and understanding what they need to do as a business. And, for someone like me who, we outsource our HR, so we are supported by specialists who helps me unpick those
Mm.
areas of legislation. We do
Yeah.
exactly the same for our clients. And I think there's a sometimes I just find that it gets overcomplicated. So keep it as really simple as possible, and a good consultant will talk in plain English and
Yeah.
unpick those complex areas for you.
Yeah. None of these words we don't understand. Just
Rigor.
keeping it.
Rigor. Rigor.
Riddle,
Rigor. That's the one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, reporting of injuries,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
See, look at me. I've been
Oh.
swatting up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think probably the second piece of advice, if you're really not at the point where you need to hire a health and safety consultant, so you just don't feel your risk is that high or you're not big enough, there are plenty of free places you can go to for help. One can be your insurance company, so the likes of Aviva have like an advice line,
Mm.
a health and safety line that you can give a call to. I think Hiscox are the same. So when you're really, very small and you just need that, I've got a worker who's pregnant, I need a pregnancy risk assessment.
Mm.
And there's plenty of stuff on the health and safety executive website that would help you.
Mm.
So before you rush and start spending money on hiring a consultant, just really understand your level of risk. Actually, do we need to employ someone to help us, or do
Mm.
we need a
Yeah.
consultant, or actually is there a place where we can go and get some of this advice for free?
Yeah, that's a
Oh.
good idea.
Yeah.
Do you find that companies are scared by health and safety? When you come in and they're like, "Oh God, they're here. Health and safety's here. Quick, get it all right before they come in." Or
Mm.
Yeah. So when I when a business first contacts us, one of the conversations we have to understand is what is that compelling event that has, made them pick up the phone to us or
Mm.
drop us an email. And quite often directors will say, health and safety keeps me awake at night.
Right.
But that's where we have really kind of homed in as a consultancy, because we're not about the legal framework exists and people must comply with it.
Mhm.
But I think what we provide to our clients is that feeling of we've got you, a feeling of
Okay.
being we look after them. So there's that saying, isn't there? People don't buy drills, they buy
Yeah.
holes.
Yeah.
And so we give that client that feeling of we support them to make them feel that they're being looked
Mhm.
after, they're doing everything they can for the workforce.
Oh, fantastic.
Is there anything new in health and safety that's come out that I think you were just saying before, that there isn't that much new, like, we were talking about HR?
HR, yeah.
Like last week, and that there has been. I think everyone's been scared about that, but I think health and safety is
Yeah.
pretty.
So
That sort of
we
stayed.
Yeah, with COVID, obviously, that kind
Yeah,
of shook things up a lot, and it was a
yeah,
really challenging time where we were trying to guide clients the best way we could. And then
yeah,
we'd go home, watch Boris, and then he'd change all the
yeah,
guidelines.
yeah.
So
God,
we'd
what a
have to
nightmare
send
it was.
another newsletter out the next day saying,
Yes, yeah,
this is what you need to do. But I think the things that have come out in the last couple of years are really homed in on post Grenfell. And
yeah,
Grenfell turns the construction industry upside down in
Mm,
that
yeah,
how we think about safety in construction.
mm,
So that the main changes really are around the Building Safety Act.
mm,
So, if you are involved in construction, it's something that we've had to help our clients stay really clued up on.
mm,
because a lot of people now are working from home. Like that's not something we feel we can do. Like with people on production, and
Hmm.
personally, we feel like relationships for us are built with the team. Being a smaller team that really works well for us, and there's been a lot of times like, you can come up with a new idea together, but some people are set on working from home. Like, how do you
Yeah.
find that to manage, like, with all the different companies as well?
Yeah, so this came up a lot when COVID first came along because there were some companies that really just felt like they didn't want to allow people to expect to work from home. But
mhm,
obviously, the guidance was if they can, you should.
mm,
But I think fast forward a few years, what the changes that we're seeing now really is around that it's a hybrid solution for a lot of people. So allowing people to work from home if the business needs allow it, but it should not be an
Just,
expectation.
yeah.
For me personally, as a business owner, we have our consultants work from home and go out and see clients,
mm,
and then they'll pop in the office, and we have one day a month where we say, right, everybody's in. For me, I love to see that collaboration. I
mm.
love to see the conversations. I like to be typing away at my desk and to hear the talk between them and problem
Yeah.
solving
Yeah.
chatter.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
so, as a business owner, I love it when the team are all in.
Mm,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really noisy and it can be really hard to get stuff
yeah.
done. But
Mm.
I can understand why a lot of business owners are trying to kind of reverse it a little bit now
Mm.
from complete homework into a balance of the two.
Yeah, because if you you run a hybrid system, then I'm just
Yeah.
what you said. So would you would you change that, or would you happy? Do you think the hybrid system works really well for you and your business?
So I think the hybrid system works for our business when the staff are fairly experienced
Mm,
Mhm.
and confident in their roles.
right.
It can be really challenging when you have a new member of the team because I think they gain so much from listening to conversations,
Mm,
hearing a potential client ring up and what that conversation is.
mm,
So I mean, we've just taken on Faith. She joined us a couple of weeks ago. She's working out the office.
mm.
And I think that's probably the sensible solution. Then once she has the
Mm.
confidence and the knowledge, I have no problem
Yeah.
with her switching between the two.
Yeah, I think it's all
Yeah.
different roles, isn't it, in companies? And like you say, it depends how you
Yeah.
set up. Like you
Yeah.
refer to for us in production, it doesn't work. And then it becomes
Yeah.
a thing where then is it unfair then that some get to work from home and some don't? And I think for me, I'm a little bit like you in terms I love the creativity thing when people are
Yeah.
talking and not one person has a great idea. It's a group and a team of people that come up with great ideas. So and I love those sorts of sessions where
Yeah.
you hear people like you say,
Yeah.
"What's that they just said? That was a really good idea. Well, we need to add
Yeah.
in with what I heard over there." And
Yeah.
um, yeah,
So, like, speaking of different workplaces, you recently went to Thailand.
I did.
So,
Yes.
like that, we can't wait to hear more about that off camera. But for a shorter glimpse of that, how did you find that, and what did you love about that? And
Okay, so yeah, I went off to Thailand in February for just under 6 weeks. And 2 weeks was a holiday, and the remainder was co working. So, first time I've ever done co-working, and I found myself working in a really busy space on the island of Koh Lanta with all sorts of people of all nationalities,
Mm.
a lot of sort of creative people, freelancers, software developers. And it was an amazing experience. So much so that I'd literally been back 48 hours, and I've booked for next year to
Really?
go
Yeah.
even longer.
Oh, incredible.
Wow.
But it's only made possible really by the team that I have in place. And I
Yeah.
think it's important to note as well that if you do something like that, you go with a bit of a plan. And my
Mm.
plan was to spend 3.5 weeks where I'm focused solely on the direction of the
Mm.
business and all the homework that our mentor sets us,
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
know about,
Mm.
is to make sure all those foundations are put in place while I'd got that silent time.
Mm. So did you come back with like this vigor of excitement, or was it a bit like us? Oh, oh, I wish I was back there as well. Is it?
Yeah, it's a strange one really because I think for the first few days I did co-working,
Mm.
quite honestly, I did think to myself, "Oh, these are not my people." I'm I describe myself as an introvert living in an extrovert world.
Okay.
So when I went to this place with a load of strangers that I'd never met before, it took me a few days to kind of integrate into it. And
Mm.
I put the wall up almost of like, I'd got a flexible ticket home
Mm.
on the plane. And I was like, I'm going home in a week. This
Really?
is not for me. But literally about 5 days in, it clicked.
Mm.
I, I got off my backside and started getting involved in a lot of the social stuff. And yeah, I made some fantastic friends there.
Mm. Oh,
No.
incredible.
I think it's great when you can. I think you can often do that. We all say, "Oh, don't judge a book by its cover." Yet, I think we find that we almost do. You think, "Oh, they're a different age, or they're from a
Mm,
different country," or like we even judge people. I think like on our accents. Like people will come into our showroom and they'll be like, "Oh, you're not from around here," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, we can still be friends." Like your accent's totally different to mine, and like how do you find people like? I think when you have like quite a distinctive accent,
yeah.
I think you can be drawn to it. Like, how have you found your accent, like in your work life and personal life, and in Thailand as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a huge topic, and we kind of, when we were speaking before I came on this podcast, we'd
Mm.
highlighted it as an area we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
So interestingly, what I did is I put Brummie accent into a LinkedIn search, and
Okay.
Okay.
surprisingly, what came up was a lot of Brummies talking on video.
Mm.
And they'd put in in the text part when they're introducing their video,
Mm.
please excuse the Brummie accent.
Wow.
And it's something that I do a lot. I'm like, oh, I don't like my accent. I can't listen to myself on an answer machine.
Mm.
Oh.
That I've been on videos that I've never watched back
Really?
because I've just been so aware of my accent. I've turned down
Wow.
speaking opportunities.
Wow.
But I've started to grapple with it over the
Yeah.
last couple of years and
Yeah.
kind of, I think the turning point was someone said to me, Embrace it." But I
Mm.
think, over the years, my daughter sent me a cracking link to Twitter once. It was back in 2000 and probably 17 when she was at university. And the link said, you had to vote which was worse, having chlamydia or a Brummie accent.
Dear.
And 64% of people said they'd
No,
rather
don't.
have chlamydia
Oh
than a Brummie
My
wow. Oh
accent.
no.
God. That's unfair.
Oh,
That's not
crikey.
fair.
Oh, wow. That's a new one, isn't
I've
it?
not heard that before. I mean,
Rena,
no.
yeah, look it up. So, yeah,
Oh, that's a bit
Jeez.
harsh.
we
That's
we
very
we
harsh.
do get a bit of stick us Brummies, but
Yeah.
in Thailand, if I
Oh,
heard someone with a Brummie accent, I'd
yeah.
like, bearing in mind that I was on my own for majority of the
Yeah.
time, I just want to run up to them and hug them and say, "Oh, you from
Yeah.
Birmingham?"
Yeah. That homely feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
How many Brummies were there?
Not many at all,
Are they not?
actually.
Have we not
No.
ventured that far yet?
Oh, no, I didn't.
We're
No,
still stuck in the city centre, aren't we?
not many at all. But, there were people from all over the world. So even if you just kind of met someone with an English
Yeah,
accent, it
yeah.
was quite good.
It is strange though. Like as soon as I hear a northern accent, the same goes for me. I'm like, oh, I just sort of know I'm going to like them. It's everything, but you're prejudging,
Mm.
aren't you? It's really strange.
See, I've
Like,
never really done that.
but I
I've
don't
never
think
been
you've
drawn.
really got a strong accent of
I get
anything
all
really.
sorts.
Like people think you're from different places,
I've
don't
had
they?
all sorts. I've had Indian. I've had South African. I've definitely had
Really?
Brummie and Black Country. Even though I'm from around here, I don't really understand the difference between Brummie and Black Country, to
Yeah,
be
do
honest.
you?
But
Well, yeah, that's a good point, actually, because I've got a bit of an identity crisis going on because I grew up in Quinton in Birmingham,
right.
and
Yeah.
one side of the road is Birmingham,
Oh
but
no,
you
do
go
you
across the
straddle?
Hagley Road, you're
Yeah.
Black Country,
Oh,
and as the crow flies, the football stadium within the shortest distance is West Bromwich Albion, which
Right.
is
right.
obviously Black Country. So I kind of people struggle with me. Are you Brummie? Are
Hmm.
you Black Country? But you
Okay.
won't hear me saying in conversation like, "Oh, I'm your bab."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're,
I do
yeah,
that to
yeah, I'm
you
all
Yeah, we
right.
sometimes.
say that to each
Yeah,
other,
yeah, I'm
but
all right.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So that's the difference in it between the
yeah,
Black Country. That it's more. It
yeah.
almost changes the
We,
wording,
we've
doesn't
got
it?
a Polish girl here that
Okay.
works here, and we're trying to teach her, aren't we? So, do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Tar bab.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. It's
the
strange.
best probably way to find out if someone's Birmingham or
Yeah.
Black Country is probably to point at the water and ask them if it's a canal or the cut. Because if you're
Oh,
from the Black Country, you call it the cut, don't
Yeah.
I've
you?
never heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the cut.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I fell in the cut. Yeah.
Oh. You
But
don't
no,
even
in
school
Birmingham, it
day.
is the canal. Yeah.
Okay.
See, I find accents really interesting because I think we should embrace our accents where we're from. And
Mm.
there was there's a very similar study I saw about accents, not quite like your one,
Yeah.
but it said about which was the. It sounds awful, but the stupidest sounding accents, and we came out, I think, top of the most stupidest sounding
Oh,
accents.
really?
But I
Yeah.
don't look at it like that at all. To me, an accent is just. It's like, would you go to a foreign country and say they are thick because they sound different? I wouldn't,
No.
but I don't know why we do it
No.
then in our own country. Does that make sense? So you look at people and think, oh, you want really bright or you're really posh or.
Well, it's like if they sound posh and talk the proper Queen's English, you probably naturally think they're posh.
But why?
But yeah, well, I don't know about you. You sort of do though, don't you? Like,
Well, okay then. If you speak to one of your posh clients on the phone,
yeah,
do you change your voice to a telephone voice?
I do. He takes the mick out of me. Hello, Threadapixel. Can I help you?
Oh, Joe, all right.
Oh, it's you are. You're doing bad. Yeah.
I do, and
Yeah.
my daughter takes the mick out of me because I've been abroad as well and spoke to people in pidgin English, like
Yeah.
can you show me the way to the pool?
Yeah.
That's what I do. But I
Yeah.
think they can understand me more, but I don't know why. Because they're probably thinking, you flipping idiot. I speak perfect English. Where are you from?
Yeah. You can't help but sort of put on the accent. As soon as I go up north, I am so much more northern. Like, it's ridiculous. And then I think as I drink more, I'd become more northern as well. I think I've had to try and put on. This is a posh accent for me because when I first came, I'd be like, "Oh, can I have a Diet Coke?" And they'd be like, "What?" And oh, it's raining. I need to wear my coat. And they'll be like, "What?" So for me, I have to talk quite posh.
Well, here we go. So, a cob.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you call a cob?
Bap,
No, you don't call it a bap.
bread bap,
Bread bap, you
Bread
call
cake.
it. Bread cake, that's
bread
it, yeah.
cake. Or,
Isn't that funny as
yeah.
how we all have different words for the same thing?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, no, it's strange, isn't it? But yeah, I think. Well, someone said to me the other day that someone met me, and they were like, "Oh my god!" When she started talking, I didn't think she was going to have that accent, and I was like, "What? Right? I'm not really sure how to take that." But what was I supposed to sound like? So, but is what it is. I'm not going to put a Queen's English on, but I might sound posher, but it's a bit too much effort.
No, you don't sound posh, don't worry. Don't worry.
I do if I'm back up north.
Do you?
My northern friends, yeah, they're like, what are you talking posh for?"
Oh, right, okay.
So yeah, but
Yeah, but I think accents is a weird one because I say I don't look at somebody and judge them based on how they sound. To me, that's irrelevant. It's
mm,
what's being said, I think, is more important. Because you sent me a post on something on LinkedIn
I did.
this week. I didn't
Mm.
even know who he was, and I did loads of research on him,
Really?
yeah. And he used a term that people found offensive, but
Yeah.
because they're not from around here, and obviously didn't mean it in offensive, and it's not an offensive word
oh
to
right,
where we're
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
But
oh
yeah, it's so weird how people take things.
yeah, yeah. Different words do have different meanings, don't they?
Mm,
Like
Yeah,
yeah,
what I found when I was in Thailand is that we have quite a lot of sayings in
yeah,
England and quite a few probably Birmingham or Midland specific sayings. And
mm,
like people would say to me, "Hold on a sec, what was that you said?"
mm,
Or "Can you repeat that?"
right.
And that just really made me laugh because it was everyday talk to us,
Mm,
but to some people they're like, "What was that you said?"
yeah,
yeah.
Particularly the Americans, they'd be
yeah,
like, look at me like, yeah,
yeah.
I'm crazy.
Mm.
Mm. I'm intrigued by the Thailand thing. I think we should look into
I
that.
absolutely want. When I found out you
Yeah,
were going, I was like mega
Yeah,
jealous,
yeah.
and I was like, we've got to ask you all about it so we can
Uh,
plan our sort of trip. So you're going to do it again.
yeah,
Did you find it useful for work in terms of all that planning you want to do? Did you come back like totally refreshed, laser focused? Was it useful?
yeah. It was really useful to get the sort of clarity of what I wanted because I think the problem is we build a business and it kind of starts going in directions accidentally.
Mm,
mm,
I when I first set up Safety Forward, I was literally going to work as a freelancer on my own 2 days a week. But it started to grow arms and legs, and before I knew it, I'd hired Vicky as my second in command, and yeah, we started getting more and more clients. So I think every business needs a reset
mm,
every now and
mm,
again to understand, okay, this is what we've achieved so far. What direction do we want to go in? What is our future? What lifestyle
mm.
are we trying to create for ourselves?
mm,
And I think you do need that silence sometimes.
Yeah, I think that reset is actually really, really key because we've had a reset every few years, actually, haven't
Mm,
we?
try to,
Uh,
yeah.
and I think your team also has a lot to do with that. I think when you haven't got the right team or you've not got someone right in the team, it really can change the dynamic, and it sort of allows you to review like what can we do in place of that, what do we feel like we're missing, and then you can improve it as you move along, I think. And we sat down and said, hang on, what are we doing this all for, what do we actually want from it, and I think it's really key to do that.
yeah, definitely. I think once you have the key people in place and the wider team are all settled and looked after, everything falls into place.
Mm,
Honestly, you don't until you own a business, you don't realize what people problems or people successes, how that has an impact on your business,
mm,
both in a positive and negative.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think 2020/2021 was a massive challenge for me, sort of around the teams. Things happened and just made me question do I want to carry on building a
Mm,
team? What have I got wrong? 2020 was a really massive reset for me. But I think you naturally do that.
yeah.
In the last 12 months, we've really focused on the type of client we want to attract into the business. And I think it's just really good to understand this is our A client, this is
Mm.
where we want to focus our efforts. So I think a reset is definitely good.
We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. We sort of like the bigger and better sort of is bigger better arguments, or is staying smaller better? And we
Yeah.
we were we spoke about it on the podcast, but we spoke afterwards because you'd forgot afterwards because you'd forgotten. But we were at one time we had a team of, I think it was 9,
Wow.
and we
Yeah, I
were
did
all about
forget.
we wanted to be the biggest. That was our thing. The big boys, we wanted to be competing with them. And I think we got to a point where we're like, this it was just the team wasn't right. It was
Mm.
really difficult. It was a really difficult
Mm,
time. And we were like, what the hell are we doing here? And we readdressed everything and said, actually, let's not aim to be the biggest. Let's aim to be the best. Let's work towards that. And we actually ended up scaling the team right back. We looked at processes, we looked at systems. We looked at where we could automate certain tasks but keep the personal touch. How we even look at the simple things like when an order comes in, what happens with it? Where does it go? How many times is it being touched? Because every time it's being touched, it's costing us money. All these things, and we're actually now smaller and yet more profitable, more turnover.
We're both happier.
We're happier, and so yeah, I think that you do need those resets. They're so important because it's so easy, like you say, just to get carried around in the ocean. All of a sudden, you're in the middle of it with no help and support, and then all you're like, what now? What am I doing? Um,
Yeah, totally. I think that's a really good point, Chris. And I very stupidly, when I thought looked at growing the business, I used to have a poster on my wall of what safety forward would look like in 2025, which is
mm,
the
Oh
year we're
yeah.
in now. So
yeah,
on my wall in 2020 was a chart and it said,
Yeah.
I employ 10 consultants.
mm,
But actually, there's a challenge to that because you need all those people. Is that success isn't about head count, how many
Mm.
people you've got on the team?
mm,
Like you said, is there something you can introduce, like a process, a system?
mm,
So when I mean we do exactly that now. If we feel like we've got if we need to if we feel like we need to hire someone, actually we ask the question, is there a system or a software out there that could make our lives easier?
yeah,
Mm.
For the management team, we've just introduced Copilot Professional. It's been such a game changer in saving so much time,
mm,
where traditionally we would have thought, actually, do you need to hire somebody else to fill this gap?
mm.
So
Do you think AI will come for health and safety?
there's a lot going on in the health and safety world for AI. I mean, there's a lot of innovation in the construction industry, which
Mm,
is about sort of protecting people around plant and machinery. I don't think it will replace the human completely,
mm,
but there are things out there. I mean, one of my team, Joanne, she was showing me Gemini, Google
yeah,
Gemini, and if you literally wave it round a room, you can ask Gemini what the risks are in that room. I
mm.
mean, that is just crazy.
Jeez.
So I think it's making us probably helping us think a bit smarter, making us more effective with our time and productive. But I don't think it's going to replace the that human drill down of
Mm,
actually, how we're going to protect people.
Mm. I think I would want to know a person had physically checked my workspace, to
oh
make
yeah,
sure people's safety. So there's definitely something. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there's certain things that you just can't replace.
No.
Um, so yeah, and yeah. So you said you saying about your team. The team you have built is fantastic. I
yeah,
mean, I've been to events and seen them when you're elsewhere, and you can still get the vibe of safety forward. And I think that's really hard to achieve, especially as the team grows. And I think that's something that you should be really, really proud of because not only are you a fantastic person, but you're clearly a fantastic leader and have instilled that into your team. And I think that is much harder than you think, isn't it? Like,
it really
I
is.
think I think that's what everyone strives for, and that has allowed you to go away to Thailand. It's not, "Oh, I'm just going to go." You've
Yeah.
built that to that stage.
Yeah, most definitely. I think 2 years ago, when I started working with Mike, who's our mentor, he said, what does the future look like and how we're going to get you there? My business had felt like shackles around me for so long, and I knew something needed to change. I felt stressed, I felt burnt out. So when we started to build the team, what we then went on to do is to hire for sort of those soft skills first, personality, who's got the values of safety forward, and when I see them work and they're helping each other out and supporting each other, I know that I've got that right. We can
Yeah,
teach the technical
Mm,
stuff.
yeah,
We can spend
definitely.
time with them and, you know, Vicky Sutton, who's my second in command, she's a very good mentor to the rest of the
Yeah,
team. So I think that is the ultimate goal, a great team that supports and lives your values.
yeah, Yeah.
So you built like this amazing team and all of that. So if you were talking to a small business now and they said, I'm going to start building a team, but I have no idea how I'm going to get right. I want them like your sort of team. What tips would you give them to say, I think you should do X, Y, and Z, and you can never guarantee obviously a happy team, but these are the things that I always try and do with my team or try and plan out.
Simple. You got to kiss a lot of frogs.
Yeah.
It
Mm.
really is.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's no, there's no luck or accidental stuff here. We have had a lot of things go wrong when
Mm.
it comes to the people aspect. And I don't believe there's one interview process out there that you can sort of extract that feeling of, oh, yeah, that person's going to live by our values.
Mm.
It literally is. You will get them through the door. But I mean, I have to take my hat off to anyone who comes to work for a small business. And I think we should acknowledge that
Mm.
because, I worked in an organisation of 4,500 people when I was in law enforcement. And there were places where people could hide, and
Right.
people
Yeah.
made careers of hiding in cupboards.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, if you go and work in a small business, there is no place to hide.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it takes one brave person to actually embrace that small business
Mm.
ethic because you are exposed,
Yeah.
and those people either take the gauntlet and run with
Mm.
it. Quite often the people we employ and are successful in a small business
Mhm.
are, they've got multi-skill set
Mm.
and, they can flip between different things. But if you hire a one-trick pony, it's not going to work.
No, I always say that
It's
large
interesting.
organizations need plodders. Small
Yeah.
in small companies don't want plodders. We don't need plodders. And the beauty of working with a small business, though, is that you kind of touched on it there, is that you get insight and you get involved in so many different things. So you might come along as like a health and safety consultant, but then all of a sudden you might be involved in a bit of marketing, or involved in a bit of sales, a bit of administrative, a bit all these other things you get to see. Where in a large organization, you're almost that's my role, that's my job description, that's all I do, and that's all I ever really see unless I get a promotion or a secondment or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's an interesting way to see it, really, isn't it?
I think it's interesting. I think you are right. I think you have to be brave to work for a small company, but I think the opportunities to learn are probably more than there are at a larger organization. Per my experience, anyway, working at big and small companies.
Well, you really helped us with a huge tip of looking at
Yes.
when we were looking for somebody to sort of help me day to day. You made the suggestion of having somebody part time, term time,
Hmm.
because it was a new thing for us. I'd wanted it for a long time, but Chris was just aware of like the spend and whether
I
finding
was
the
counting
right.
my pennies out.
Yeah, so when you talk about arguing about money, that was
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So it was like, hold on. Just told me this, yeah. So we got quite excited about that and interviewed for that, and the caliber of people. I mean, we could have happily chosen 7 of them. It was
Yeah.
brilliant, and I think that was a fantastic tip. I think it suits everybody. Everybody wins. It's a great way for us to put our toe in, and there's so much skill out there that feel like they can't go back to work when they're really skilled, fantastic people.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you're a parent that has worked in a demanding role, say a legal secretary or something like
Yeah.
that, and once your children are small, you can't go back to the demands of that role.
Mm.
It's great when you find that job that offers, term time, flexible working, or working school hours.
Mm.
It's up, so you can carry on your, giving yourself to an employer and the skills
Yeah.
you have, but you're not going to be restricted by all these demands placed on you that your
Yeah.
original career would have
Yeah.
sent you in.
Yeah. No, I mean, I find it's so useful, like you say, to have our conversations, to
Oh,
bounce off each other. Because whilst your friends and family try to understand, I think it is very hard for them to fully understand those questions. And then it's very easy. Like you used to manage like
Big
huge
teams.
teams with massive budgets. And when you say, yeah, we've got to bring in these people or we've got to spend that, and it might work, it might not. It's so different when it's your own money because that is physically coming out of our future. Like,
yeah.
if somebody doesn't work out, you've physically got to work with them, seeing them doing it, like not trying. And you can't help but take it personally. When it's working for somebody else, it's completely different. So it's just a different kettle of fish.
Totally different. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we needed to employ people, so this is a prime thing. So what we did training courses for unemployed people. We were government led contracts, and if we had, um, I don't know, a training course running in Wolverhampton, for example, we were short on a trainer. It was never an issue. You ring up a training organisation or
Yeah.
a temporary staff. What's the cost? It doesn't matter. Just get them in, get them in. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But when it's your own
Like,
business,
what can I
how
do
much is
it? Can
it?
I do it? No, I'll do it.
Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly that, right? Can the administrator do it? Go on, go on.
Oh dear.
But yeah, when it's somebody else's pot, it's really interesting because you'll speak
Yeah,
to
it's
other
funny.
managers and they're like, "Well, I know what it's like because I have those same stresses, but I've been on where you are, and I can tell you it's absolutely not the same
Yeah.
at all."
Yeah.
If like we had this conversation the other day, so if you had an accounting query or something or an IT issue, when you work for a large organization, you call IT or
Yeah.
you call finance.
Exactly.
I'm stuck with
Yeah.
this. Oh, I'll fix that for you. 2 minutes later, great, I'm on my way. But when
Yeah.
it's your own, it's like, who the hell am I going to contact for this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the biggest challenge I found. So, many years ago, my systems got hacked,
Hmm.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
you like someone that trusts us with their health and safety. I trusted someone with
Yeah.
our IT,
Hmm.
and it went wrong, so we got hacked. But normally, like you say, you call someone up, or my laptop's broke, or
Yeah.
there's something going on with it. Someone
Yeah.
else is there to solve it. You literally wear so many hats,
Hmm.
Yeah.
but my goodness, I bet we've all learnt so much between us over the
Yeah.
years.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
We had that same
Like,
chat this morning, didn't we,
yeah,
about how much
literally
we've
only
learned?
this morning, like, you know, as I said to you about something else, like I've cried before I've had to do something for work, like saying, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. And she's like, you have to. No, no, no one else is coming to save you.
Oh,
Like, you chose to have your own business. Get on with it.
yeah.
Like, suck it up, buttercup. And so I said, do you think I've changed since I was employed like 12 years ago? And he was like, it's light and day. And it really is. Like, if I was to go back into that workspace, well, I wouldn't be there for as long as I was, for starters. But, you just see things so differently and you have to grow, don't you?
You
And
do, yeah. I think I would be the worst employee now. Well,
mm,
actually, would I be the worst employee? I think if I went to work for somebody else,
yeah,
I'd actually be probably bossing people around quite a bit and saying, you don't want
yeah,
to do it like that, you want to do it
yeah,
like this.
yeah,
Um, and I think probably to a another business owner or director that will be really useful because I have that sort of grit and passion.
yeah,
But then probably my biggest nightmare would be being told to
yeah.
do something that
Yeah.
I
You
think,
didn't.
no, no, there's a
Yeah,
better way of
Yeah.
doing
y-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
But this is why we
yeah,
did it, right? It's not to be told, it's to do it our own way.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
can't be
yeah.
told what to do.
Oh, no, yeah,
If you tell me to
yeah,
do something, I'll do the opposite.
yeah.
I'm flipping awful.
Yeah. And you wonder why we argue, because I'm the
Yeah.
same.
It's true.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
true. I just
yeah.
can't, I can't, yeah. I couldn't work for somebody else now. There's not a chance.
No, you
There's
think
no
you
way. I think for two reasons. One, I think I've lost confidence as I'm getting older. I think I get less confident. And two, I think I'd just be arguing all the time. And not out of because I'm an argumentative person, because I'm not at all. But if I think there's a better way of doing something, I can't help it.
Because
And,
you don't really have to justify it to anyone at the moment,
well, I
apart
don't,
from
yeah.
me, whereas you can tell me to literally F off, but you can't really say that
Well,
to who you're working for.
not if I want to stay working there now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No.
I think if my job for someone else was sort of relationship building, or building up that network, the
yeah,
selling sales side of things, the promoting the business, I think I'd actually be a good employee because if someone sticks targets in front of me or a
yeah,
challenge, I'm like, yeah, let's bring it on.
Mm,
yeah,
But I think probably that would be the my only home that I could
yeah,
find within a larger organization.
yeah. I think you naturally think out of the box though, and you naturally think to go above and beyond though. So I think that would be a brilliant skill to have for somebody's business because when you have to sort of spoon feed certain things, like it takes time. But if you've got somebody that's already all naturally thinking ahead of the game, I think that's priceless. And I think you don't have that unless you've had to do everything in your own business sometimes. But sometimes people are naturally like that, aren't they? And it's a fantastic skill.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I want to
Mm.
be paid for being on the golf course, and that's probably the
Yeah.
top and bottom of it if I work for someone. So
Yeah.
as long as that's written into my contract, we'll
Is
we'll
that the
be
goal for
absolutely fine.
2030?
Yeah. Making sales on the golf course, not
Yeah,
bad.
it's the best place to network, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
we do need to learn to play.
I can't do it. You wouldn't want me on the golf course. I did. I went to a driving range,
Mm.
and I look like a flipping idiot. I'm just spinning around on the spot. And the thing I find with golf, I find it like it's a bit like rounders, in that you're swinging and you're flipping, not hitting the ball, and you're
Well,
getting more annoyed. So you start swinging harder, more aggressively, and before you, I
Uh,
hate it.
Anyone who says golf is good for mental health is lying to you. It is so stressful, honestly, and
uh,
like I put myself under so much pressure.
Hmm.
But
yeah.
it's been one of the, if someone asked me like to give them a tip on building up those really good relationships with your target audience,
Hmm.
golf is great for that.
Really?
Yeah, and I do actually, someone we both know is currently undertaking golf lessons at the moment for that very reason.
Oh,
Oh,
we'll have to ask you
wow.
So,
afterwards.
yeah,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
okay.
yeah.
Maybe not going to take up
I'm
golf
thinking,
then.
yeah.
Flipping heck. Can I kick it
Yeah,
instead?
yeah.
Yeah. I'll drive the caddy and you
I'll get
can.
the drinks. I remember as a kid, we used to go, was this a golf course in Sandwell? Is
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
yeah.
And we used to go there and just get drunk. And
Oh,
then
did you?
yeah,
Yeah.
but we would get kicked off because people would get annoyed because we were just drinking as we were going around, which understandably they've paid to play golf and we just having a drink. But yeah, I just cannot hit that ball for the flipping life
Oh,
of
you
me.
better get the lessons in.
I can't do it. And the mini golf, I'm good at that,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
but I can't. I could putt, but I probably couldn't swing. I can't swing. No.
Well, no, I've found that, like, hopefully people have found it useful. I think you are a fountain of knowledge, but in all sorts of ways. Like,
Yeah,
so it's been a pleasure to have you on
it
the
really has.
on the
Thank
show
you.
because we've been really hoping for it and looking forward to it for a long time now, haven't we?
I think we threatened to try and get you on about a year ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then we've just been, world's just sort of been going as it does, things happening. And
Yeah.
then
yeah,
we've made it happen. So, yeah, really
yeah.
appreciate you coming to see us.
Well,
Thank you.
I
I
know.
wanted to perfect my accent a bit better, try and get more
Okay.
Queen's English before you interviewed me. But I've really enjoyed today both,
Oh,
and thank you for your support. And we over the last couple of years, you've both been amazing, and it's been a
Ditto.
pleasure to be
oh
here today.
no,
Ditto.
thank you, absolutely, and we'll go and rest your foot now.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you so much, Maz. Thank you.
Cheers.
thank you.